670 cubic inches. That's pretty small. It uses 6 gallons of oil. That's just normal. And so think about the warm-up period of 6 gallons of oil. So you have all this cold oil, and the engine starts to warm up, and it's kind of like the engine's going, are we done yet? I mean, just finished warming up some oil. You keep feeding me cold oil. So you're going to be feeding it cold.
Quarters to gallons?
What's that?
How much quarters make a gallon?
4. So it's 24 quarts.
Oh, so thank you.
24 quarts. So what you can do is have a temperature accelerating well. So I don't know kind of the way so here we have our big oil tank here. And there's our filler. And so what you can do is actually take and put like a smaller section in here. And we'll drill a bunch of holes in it so the oil can easily flow. But oil coming from the engine will dump into here. And oil being sucked out of the engine will go this way. So as the engine starts up and runs, it's going to suck it out of this hopper, which figured a cylindrical thing with holes drilled all the way around it. So here comes the warm oil. Can I do this?
Yes, so it mixes up.
So warm oil is going to come in here and start filling this up, and it's going to easily roll down this way. But at the same time, it's going to radiate out from here and start warming up this oil. And as this oil radiates and gets warmed up, it's going to flow into these little holes and start mixing in with the other one. So as time goes by, all of the oil is going to get warmed up, and then the whole big tank is being used. All 6 gallons in this case are being used, but we started off with just this little bit where it came through back into here. So you can see how that would work. So it works as a small supply, then it works as a big supply.
So the holes in that cylinder are small enough to where it is high viscosity. It's not being able to penetrate through the holes.
Pretty much.
Actually heat it
Yep.
until it solidifies.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, so that's our temperature accelerating well, our hopper. I don't know. The W670 uses 6 gallons. That's 24 quarts. And that's the small radial. It just goes up from there. The hopper is a well within a tank. That allows a smaller amount of oil to be used during engine warm-up. And then we could say, see the warm oil then warms up the tank oil. There we go. And then warm oil from the tank flows into the hopper. All right, you guys are still writing a little bit. What, I write faster than you? You just write you just write nicer than I do. Takes more time. You have a Q&A question that talks about the required items, the required placards on an oil tank. And required items comes from FAR 23.1013. Let's see. Who's got, nobody has their FAR book on them? What is FAR 23? Certification
It is
standards.
airworthiness standards.
Certification of standards, normal utility and aerobatic category.
Yes.
Okay, so certification standards. Your Q&A question is one of those tricky questions where I believe that there's it gives you references, and I believe that some of the other answers are better, but it's the wrong reference. So what are the actual required items under 2313? And there are several. So 1, it must have an expansion space.
This is for both dry and sump.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah. I never thought about it, but I believe it does. All right, so it has an expansion space. Let me see. 10% or 1/2 gallon. Whichever is more. So you gotta have that much space. And that's so that when your oil heats up, it expands, you get foaming in there, anything else, it's not getting blown overboard. So I was just trying to think here. We're talking about our, we can talk about the engine we have in class right now. We'll say that's a six quart capacity. So what would we need to have on there?
0.6 quarts
Well,
extra.
6 quarts would be 1.5 gallons.
Yeah.
So 10% would be 0.12 of a gallon. So, okay, so which we default to 1/2 gallon. So there's going to be 1/2 gallon of space in there. So 2 quart space. We talk about the W670 that had 6 gallons or 24 quarts. So 10% would be 2.4 quarts, right? I'm doing my math in my head, right? So which is more, 2.4 quarts or 1/2 gallon?
2.4.
The 2.4. It's bigger by 0.4, so you'd have to have that. So you have to have that expansion space, and that is one of your Q&A questions, correct? I haven't got there yet.
I think it says
Then-
5 gallon tank.
The 5 gallon. Okay, so the Q&A is specific to 5 gallon. So a 5 gallon tank, which would be how many quarts?
0.5, so it's exactly half.
No, how many quarts is 5 gallons?
Oh,
20 gallons.
10% of that.
20 quarts. Sorry,
yeah.
5 gallons is 20 quarts.
Yeah, so it's 2.
So 20 quarts would be 2 quarts. 2 quarts is
Half a gallon.
1/2 gallon. What is the answer on that Q&A?
1/2 gallon or 10%.
1/2 gallon or 10%.
Comes out as 1/2 gallon.
Oh, they don't make you do it. They just, okay. So maybe that's why they ask, giving you a break on that. All right, so you got to have some expansion space. You got to have a vent on your tank. So each oil tank must be vented. Specifically, it says each oil tank must be vented to the engine from the top part of the expansion space so that the vent connection is not covered by oil under any normal flight conditions. Normal flight conditions. Well, what about if you go inverted? Guess I was inverted. Well, is it okay just to go fly? I mean, I got a little 150. Can I go out and go inverted if I feel like it?
Yeah, you can. Some guys, Seattle did it.
You probably can, that plane probably can.
I don't think so that yours is aerobatic.
Okay, so
You just gotta
my
fill the
plane,
oil gallon.
well, they did make a Cessna 150 Aerobat.
Uh-huh.
And what was interesting about that plane is it was not fuel injected, it was carbureted. So what happens to a carburetor when you go inverted? Engine stops. All right, if it does not have an inverted oil system, which this one didn't, because I think it's still that Continental 200, where does the oil go?
To the
To the top of the engine. No, carburetor's on the bottom. So the carburetor's down here and you go